Hey there, action fan. Welcome to my vlog review of Rwby Menagerie. One of the reasons why I'm vlogging about this one is, honestly, it's kinda hard for me to give it a real review. Mostly because I feel like I'm reviewing an unfinished product. And that's not really fair, you know? Because of the format they're going with for Season 4, this episode really feels less like a complete work unto itself, and more like a piece of a whole. And if that's the way they're going, that's fine. I just need to adjust my standards a little bit. So anyway, Menagerie is basically all about Blake. She's arrived in Menagerie, obviously, for the first time in a long time, and she's going to revisit her parents. And I really like both of them. Her dad is the chief of the village, because, you know, what else would he be? First off, I like his design. He's big. He's got this sense of power and dignity to him, but he's also got this sense of moderateness and gentleness to him. So he's one of those big guy characters that's actually kind of a comforting presence and a calming presence in the story. Alright, now on to Blake's mom, who's just a really nice lady. I like the fact that she's very similar looking to Blake, but they managed to differentiate her. First off, they used the age lines around the eyes to make her look older, because obviously she is. But they kept the traits like hair color and the ears. I thought that was good stuff, you know? I kinda dislike the sort of random quality that the Faunus can have, of we just have this animal trait because. I like that there's a genetic component. So, the big event of the story, if you will, comes in the form of a couple of White Fang representatives who are, not gonna lie, kinda creepy. They've got a real cult vibe to them. And as much as that might make them unpleasant as characters, they're actually pretty fun to watch. Because you know they're lying, but, you know, it seems a little bit hard to point out because they're saying the right stuff. They tell Blake's dad that Adam is basically a White Fang renegade, they don't support his actions, blah blah blah, all that stuff. They have a plan to track him down. And that was actually really good stuff. But I think they mess up a little bit with the ending, where we break away from this good continuity of following Blake around the entire time to then follow these guys and get information that Blake doesn't have. And obviously, they're gonna go run off to Adam and tell him exactly where Blake is and all this other stuff. I think it would have been a better idea to not give the viewer that information. I think it would have made them a more compelling screen presence, especially if you didn't know whether they were actually on the good guy side or on the bad guy side. A better break from continuity comes at the very end when we see frickin' crazy guy show up at the tavern from the last episode and have some rather disturbing words with that poor waitress. You know, I know every homicidal lunatic isn't automatically the Joker, but he feels so Joker to me. It's the laughing. It's gotta be the laughing. Alright, so to talk a little more holistically about Rwby Season 4, I'm gonna say it feels a lot like Star Wars Episode 1. Now, from certain people on the internet, that's a very harsh criticism, but from me, not so much. I actually kind of thought Episode 1 was pretty okay. It's not the best Star Wars movie, but it's not the worst, and there really aren't any actually bad Star Wars movies. Basically, what I mean by saying it's like Episode 1 is that we're trying to introduce these big concepts and talk about how the world works, and a lot of it is not necessarily the most compelling stuff. You know, we're talking about politics, we're talking about blockades, trade agreements, all kind of government bureaucratic stuff. And Rwby's doing its best to mitigate that by showing us these things through the eyes of the main characters and kind of how it impacts them. So I thought that was a smart way to approach it, and I need to see more until I can really say whether that strategy works or not. Alright, so to give an actual score to this episode, I don't necessarily think it's best to do that, but I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. The characters are likable, they are engaging, we're seeing a new setting that we basically haven't seen before. We're given too much information about the White Fang and their actions. And the stuff they're talking about isn't really all that compelling just on idea alone. Now, if you're interested in more reviews of anime, movies, TV shows, comic books, or video games, check out my channel on YouTube at StupidPrivate913, or find my Facebook and Deviantart pages for video updates and more. Thank you for watching.
Hey kids, today's show is brought to you by the letter 4 and the number potato! I'm a stupid private.